Okay, welcome back. Week 3. Today we're going to be focusing on the song Bathroom and also the cover of the record. On the campaign, there's a video from William Schaff, who is the artist behind the covers for The West is the Future.
A Winter's Shadow and Listen to the Crows as they take flight.
As they take flight, yeah. And he played with you in Kid Dakota and the Tumbleweeds.
Right, yeah. He was the first drummer I ever had.
Wow.
Yeah.
And he gives a story which people can find elsewhere on the Pledge Music website.
Yes.
The story behind this, which you say is almost...
It's almost correct.
Almost correct.
Right. The only inaccuracy is that Will says that I think I fell from a building.
Yes, he does say that.
Right.
So you're at a wedding.
Right. I was at
the best man.
I was at a wedding. I was supposed to be the best man at a wedding, and I ended up getting too intoxicated. I had an accident where I fell down in a road, basically face first.
Yeah.
And
face first, but not from multiple flights.
Right, no.
Okay,
It's
that sounded...
I think I don't remember the event, because I was sort of blacked out.
Yes.
And I just toppled over and landed on my face.
Yeah.
And that's the only inaccuracy of his story. But I think it's an important one because had I fallen from a building, the cover would have probably been much more dramatic.
So when did you first see that photograph of yourself?
Yeah, it was a Polaroid, so yeah.
Was it purposefully taken so as to be the cover?
No.
No, okay.
No.
So at what stage did you know that that was the cover?
It wasn't until I was trying to decide what the EP should be called or if it should even have a title. But then when I decided to call it So Pretty because that song seemed to encapsulate a lot of the themes, it seemed like a funny, ironic sort of choice.
It's not horrific. It's
Right.
not as horrific as it would be had it been, had the story been entirely true.
But it's real.
And not only is it real, it is the event that leads to you returning to your parents' house.
It does, yeah.
Yeah. What happens then? How is that relevant to So Pretty EP?
It was in my parents' basement that I recorded all the demos that would eventually become So Pretty.
How many of the songs did you also write there?
That's a good question. I would say 3 or 4, probably. Yeah.
So today we're talking about Bathroom.
That was one that I didn't write at that time. That was from an earlier period, actually, probably a couple years before that I wrote that song.
These days, when you're working on new music, you have an idea, if you have a new song, which of the very many Kid Dakota records that there will be, it will go on.
Right.
When you wrote Bathroom, did you have an idea of what would happen to the song? Did you have any of these other songs and have a sense that it fit with them?
I didn't have any of the other songs at that point. Bathroom was the first.
The first?
The first song. I was in a band called Headache.
Okay.
And when we released our first cassette, well, we didn't even release it. We just made cassettes that we used to get shows when we lived in Boston. And that song, Bathroom, was on the Headache demo.
The original version of Bathroom, was it kind of proto Kid Dakota? Some of the features that we have in it now, were they new for the So Pretty version?
Yeah, I mean, the percussion was new. The lyrics are the same, the melody is the same, but the sort of orchestration is very different. The 4-track version is a much more kind of early Sonic Youth vibe to it, whereas the version on So Pretty, it seems to be more inspired by like early Queens of the Stone Age. Everything was so minimal and stripped down in the verses, much more so than on the 4-track version, which was really noisy. Maybe the most notable guitar effects up to that point, there's a lot of volume swells that kind of end up sounding like violins or sort of synthesizers, but they're really distorted guitars in harmony. And then, everything changes in the song, right? It goes from this really sort of stark, close-mic'd sound to something very
expansive.
Yeah, expansive and loud and chaotic.
Guitar solo.
Yeah. And then it all shrinks down to the hello hallucination part where there's a tremolo effect on the whole track. The whole track is tremolo. This person has just gone through this very disorienting experience. So I wanted that tremolo to sort of reflect the space in which this person was living. they're suffering from addiction, and their closest friends are
hallucinations.
Hallucinations, yeah, right, yeah.
The character is addressing hallucinations in their mind, but they're also addressing the very many people that are listening and relating to that character.
Right. I think there's lots of different sort of levels of interrogation and interaction in that song.